What's up, people? What's up, Outlaw? What's up, Straight Sith Male? I just decided to make a quick stream real quick because every Saturday for the last 3 weeks at least, I've been doing a stream on my channel, which has actually gotten a surprising amount of interest, where I'm talking about critical social justice, the origins. A lot of this information is coming from new discourses. But today we actually did do the stream, but we did not do it on my channel. Um, I decided because I don't want to be a YouTuber and I'm fucking lazy, that we were going to go ahead and move this over to Irate Prostates channel. So, anybody that's watching, if you're watching this after I'm live, especially, go to the description. There's a link to Irate's channel. If you go there, we're gonna go live every Saturday at 8 p.m. Central. And funny enough, I mean, part of the reason I wanted to move it to Irate's channel is, first off, Irate, he wants to build an audience. He wants to have different topics discussed on his channel. And the other thing is I'm fucking lazy, and I want to keep these conversations about how all this crazy, like, postmodern neo-Marxist bullshit is coming to fruition and its origins in academia, just to give people tools to fight it, other than just dismissing people as fucking communists and whatnot. Which is fine. Like, I understand some people don't care about that, which is why this is not something I'm doing with Tom Penoid. He's not interested in the bullshit ideas that are coming out of critical social justice. But I am very interested. I think it's fascinating how they have this internal infrastructure that's penetrating all of society. But anyway, so first and foremost, I just want everybody to make sure they go and subscribe to Irate Prostate. I'll make sure that I post on my Twitter and social media, and even on my own YouTube channel, which I don't really give a shit about. I'll make sure to post videos warning people, hey, we're going to do this stream, but it's going to be an Irate. Other than that, man, I have a lot of stuff I could talk about. If anybody wants to come have a conversation, I'm sitting here in Knights of the Coffee Table Discord. Let me add that real quick. Feel free to hop in and I'll pull you in. One thing we didn't get a chance to do tonight, which I want to make a common theme of the stream we do, is that we go over the subject matter we're talking about, and then we just kind of open it up for a broader discussion. There's kind of a weird balance between this, because a lot of this stuff that we're talking about is so heavy when it comes to the actual academic research. Like, explaining to people just simply what they've been doing to infiltrate, um, I guess, I don't even want to say infiltrate, but to get what I would normally call sensible people on their side, is like rhetorical traps like the Mott and Bailey. The best example I have of that, so, well, to understand the Mott and Bailey scenario, is it's kind of looking at like kind of medieval castles where you invade, and the Bailey is just kind of like the courtyard where like a lot of random chaos is going on. But the Mott is the people that are climbing up on the tower, and they have the high ground, and so they can just kind of pick people off with arrows on that high ground, um, regardless of how much chaos is going on in the Mott. What that translates to with what we see in this social justice bullshit is that they'll come out with this Mott idea, which is like something like Black Lives Matter, right? This whole idea that Black Lives Matter, like, at its face, if you just take it based on plain English, that's fine, right? That's the strong point. That's the Mott. But in the Bailey, they're doing all this other nonsense, like deconstruct the nuclear family, um, other things that they're doing, promoting anti-racism versus racism, right? There's no such thing as not a racist. You're either an anti-racist or you're a racist. There's no in between. The idea of white allyship, which is this thing that is completely impossible to achieve, right? There's no such thing as a good white. So the goalpost is ever moving, and no matter what you do, you won't satisfy these people. And these are concepts that I think are very important for people to understand, that this is where it's coming from. These are the tactics they're using, and being able to address it on their own terms. Um, I think like just even me, like the story I have even recently is this shit infiltrated me and my work. And I was actually kind of taken aback by it. I mean, I knew it was going to happen eventually. Um, but sitting there in a belonging conversation that we had on Zoom, and somebody from their belonging council actually with impunity was able to go off and explain to people how, well, if you're white in America, you grew up with these certain things that indoctrinated you into being racist, right? Like, I mean, if you're white, you're racist, and it's okay. I mean, I'm white and I'm dealing with my racism, but I'm learning how to be a better anti-racist. And it's just set off all these alarm bells because I know where this is coming from. I know what it means, and I know why it's a problem. Well, and yeah, like you're stating like Sith white male. Basically, I'm talking about everything that will leave society broken. Yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, I do because critical theory, and this is one of the big themes that we touched on in today's stream on our Rates channel. So make sure to subscribe. I would go back and watch it. I show up very late, which is another really awesome reason why it's going to be on our Rates channel, because I don't have to be there to keep the discussion going, especially like in our small YouTube sphere. Um, but we were we were talking about how critical theory and critical social justice, they don't explain anything, and this is it in their own writing. All they do is look at reasons to find things problematic and then decide that we need to disrupt and dismantle. Like, you're going to hear that all the time, disrupt and dismantle. um like, it really is this revolutionary idea that's very underpants gnomes. Like, they don't really have an ideology for like a way forward or what should replace it. They just know that the current system needs to be overthrown. And in some ways, I'm sympathetic to that. There's a lot of things I don't like about our current system, but I still see things. And this is another thing that we talked about today. Is one of the core themes is we usually interchangeably call the left liberals, but liberalism has like a tradition going back to the Enlightenment. Uh, Almost everything, like even when it comes to what I would call left liberals, these are people that would probably follow the tradition of John Stuart Mills, where they decide that society, like our government and society, has a social contract, and there's actually good reason to have social programs to help people. Um, I mean, that's probably juxtaposed to American conservatism, where they would say, you know, these programs, they don't help people. There's moral hazards that go with it. It actually creates a permanent underclass. But those are arguments we can have within liberalism, and that's not the arguments these people are having. Not even close. These people are having the arguments that, like, they'll say things like racism never went away. It never got better. It only changed forms. And that's actually in their writings. Like Ibram X's How to Be an Anti-Racist, #2 selling book on Amazon, says exactly what I just said. Like, I'm not making a straw man. These are their arguments. I think it's totally fucking nonsense. And I just don't think that people that want to fight back against that, I don't think that we have the ability to do so by simply just using our intuition to say it's bullshit. I think we have to know where it's coming from. I think we have to attack it at its core from where academia is perpetuating this nonsense. And another big topic that like I've been covering is how this is inherently an activist ideology. And that's not just me trying to claim that they're creating activists. They say it in their own writing. Like, to be a critical theorist, to be an anti-racist, is a lifelong dedication to activism. And that is also the reason why this is infiltrating so much of our pop culture, so much of our politics, even into what corporate thinking is looking at. Because these people are infiltrating these institutions, and they are showing up as activists, right? Like, city council meetings happen, board meetings happen, any kind of open town hall happens, and these people are activists and they show up and they're dictating policy. And until we understand that these are activists that are showing up, uh, we're not going to be able to fight back. And holy shit, goddamn, I was actually about to say, let's bring some people in to talk.
Oh, no.
You might want to stop that.
Yeah, I'm stopping that right now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, what's up, Floyd? What's up, Full Metal Joker? And what's up, Simpson Fairfox, which I don't think I've ever talked to you before.
I brought Samson over with me. He's cool, dude.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
What's going on tonight, Excel?
Well, if you were listening before, so the first part was just me giving the channel update and explaining to people that have been following my channel, because I mean, for a channel with 240 people, like getting 70 to 100 views per stream on the critical theory topics, not that bad. But I also don't give a shit about my channel. I don't give a shit about my channel. I don't give a shit about being a YouTuber. So I delegated it over to Irate's channel. So make sure to subscribe to Irate Prostate. Once again, the link's in the description. And we'll be doing the same thing I've been doing every Saturday, but we're just going to be doing it on his channel.
Okay.
Yeah. Irate's cool, dude, man. He's kind of like that cool uncle.
Well, he actually, so Atima was the first person that came, or first person I was talking to that started looking into the same things I was looking at, and she became super interested. She was like, wow, like a lot of these things that I think are just crazy, they make a lot of fucking sense when you know where they come from. Like, it's still crazy, but it's like you know the internal consistencies just based on reading about where it comes from. And she found it fascinating, which is the reason I decided that we were going to go ahead and do a few streams. Irate has actually kind of taken up that too. Like, he sees it kind of the same way. And he's like, wow, no, you're right. Like, this isn't something that's purely Marxist. This isn't something that's purely postmodernist. It's something new and it's something different. And if we don't understand it, we're not going to be able to attack it.
There's a million different ways of thinking and seeing and viewing the same thing. Yeah. That's one of the reasons why it's very difficult to understand what's going on with communism and socialism and Marxism, because they're different animals depending on the culture that they're installed in.
Well, and Samson, you're kind of new, but so I mean, I haven't talked to you before, so I don't know how much you know about what we've talked about. But there's this very pervasive line of reasoning within like the critical theorist movements where it's almost like they've disregarded economics completely, right? Like, if you talk to any one of them, they might call themselves Marxist. They're definitely going to have a strain of anti-capitalism. But unlike Marx, which actually had a replacement for what are, like, you know, liberal economics, they don't have anything for that. They don't have any kind of coherent economic theory at all behind it. The only thing they say is that the current system is racist and we need to dismantle it.
Yeah, and replace it with what? I don't know. I guess we'll go along with our thumbs in our asses and figure it out.
Well, it's underpants gnomes stuff, right? It's like, step 1, disrupt and dismantle. Step 2, step 3, utopia.
like that's ever gonna happen?
Yeah, no, that doesn't work, dude. That's not how shit works. You know, the way I was always taught that things work is like there's beginning, middle, end.
Yeah, I mean, and this is a common thing, is they look at the end right now, and then they look at the beginning, and they decide that there's no difference between the two. It's very nonsensical.
End.
Well, it's just like, because first off, I have a big thing like take back the word liberal, and I was kind of explaining that at the very beginning because at the core of the word liberal is liberty. The only reason the word libertarian had to come up is because the word liberal got so drowned in other things that were not individualistic that it became
Weren't
untenable.
weren't there some of you guys over there talking about that over in Somnus?
Yeah, yeah, I think. I mean, I certainly, if I was there, I talked about it. But I've talked to Ryan and Sinrise, and I mean, even just a year ago, I was just like, no, just give up the word liberal. Like, remember when Sargon of Akkad decided, like, we're going to start the liberalist movement? It
Yeah,
sounded
I think so.
dumb. Well, it sounded dumb, but what he failed to explain is that a lot of the shit that's going on the far left is explicitly anti-liberal. They put it in their writing that this is an anti-liberal ideology. This is a challenge to the traditions of liberalism that is the foundation of most of America. Um, Even American conservatism, it's actually part of the liberal tradition.
Yeah, it's all over the place. You don't know which way to look at it, all folded in on itself like it is.
No.
Yeah,
You know,
I don't know
Somebody's
what to
telling
think, man.
me, somebody's saying we all point fingers with no verified wisdom. The exact same thing that you hate. I don't know if I can totally understand what they're trying to say, but I'm pointing at a very exact thing, which is critical theorists and critical methods. Right? Like the idea of critical methods, they even write about it. So critical methods, for the person that may not quite understand what I'm talking about, is critical methods rather than like traditional methods, right? Where we decide to come up with a hypothesis, something that we can test, we can come up with measures, and something that can be replicated. That's not a critical method. That's a traditional method. A critical method is looking at something and then looking into it and finding things that are problematic, right? It's they use the word critical in the more literal term of criticism, right? So the whole idea is to criticize things and find problems with it. It's not to actually explain anything. If it was going to explain something, it would be a traditional method.
I mean, I've seen all kinds of people just finding something to complain about where there really shouldn't have been anything to complain about in the first place. They just invent something to complain about.
Well, yeah, and so like I was listening to somebody that's like kind of on my side, but kind of more to the left, talking about critical theories, and they're just like, it might make sense if you're using them in tandem to traditional theories, right? It's to look at a traditional theory, find a flaw, but then you have to go back to traditional methods to really prove that that flaw is important. That's not what's happening today. What's up, gaming and yelling? Feel free to join in and come talk. We're just bullshitting at this point.
What are your
Yo,
thoughts
what up, gaming?
in what I'm about to talk about? Something like I've already finished a video on, which I'm gonna try and upload later. Um, well, like sometime today or tomorrow. But what are your thoughts about people going out there and defacing the mural out there in New York?
Which
uh, The
one?
BLM one.
Oh man. Um,
I uh I'm at the feeling that I may not agree with BLM, but they did obtain the legal right to paint it there. They went through the proper channels finally. So nobody has the right to go out there and deface it because
I mean, this is how I look at it.
Well,
So yeah, they did pay for it and everything. The vandalism is wrong, and whatever side of the coin you're on, you shouldn't be for vandalism. Period.
Agreed. Yes.
Yeah, actually,
Exactly.
let's be frank, which is certainly a super pro Trump YouTuber that I've worked with. He has a huge audience now. I think he's up to like 50K subs or something. I talked to him about it, and he just said he was trying to talk about how, God, I'm ready to descend a whole bunch of people on there. Like, why are they considering this vandalism? And I explained it. I was like, well, it is vandalism. It absolutely is. The best way to
well,
approach it. Well,
if
hold
they
on.
paid for the permits and everything to do their mural, then
Yeah,
and it was approved, it went through the proper channels, it was voted on, it got through. Yeah, okay, that's as much as I disagree with the message. No, man, you really shouldn't be out there vandalizing shit. All
yeah.
right.
You shouldn't. You should be showing up and saying like, why is this political message showing up on our streets?
Or
Because
Yeah.
it's kind of like once again, it's kind of a Mott and Bailey thing. The idea that Black Lives Matter, like that's true, right? Like nobody's really going to argue that in its most literal sense, but it also represents a very political movement, especially if you look at their heads. Like it's expressing something incredibly political, and there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with it. So you have people protesting, and they're vandalizing shit to protest, which I disagree with completely because that's what I complain about with a lot of the protests that are going on in Portland. What I don't like is we have this, for some reason, this tiered justice system, right? So when right wingers do the same thing that left wingers would do, when it comes to like I said, vandalizing murals like that, versus people that tear down statues of Christopher Columbus, the justice system, like people are looking at it like completely differently, and I think it should be
Well,
all kind of lumped into the same, like, yeah, everybody should
yeah.
be punished equally, but for some reason, one side is getting away with it right
but
now.
here's but here's the thing.
Exactly.
Um, even though us that range from me being a centrist to uh right wing, like we should still abide by the laws and go through the proper channels, because how are we gonna deal with something like this when
Well, well, Joker.
now don't get me
If we don't go through the proper channels, then we're no different than these Antifa and BLM
yes,
idiots that are out here vandalizing the shit out of absolutely everything, tearing down statues and whatnot. No, we
and
have
when
to
it
go through the proper channels.
and when it comes to stuff like this, I stick to the notion of, when you go out there to fight monsters, be sure that you don't become one in the process.
That's actually very important, and I think it's been really hard, especially since 2016, for people to kind of come together and think about things that way. I mean, this all started it all became very apparent. I think with the college lectures, right? Like when somebody like Milo or Ben Shapiro showed up on campus, you had these people that basically started riots on college campuses, um, and they just got away with it. Like they wouldn't do
Yeah,
anything
that
about
that
it.
behavior never should have been tolerated.
But it's just gone forward to be kind of a broader thing that we see happening.
It's really unfortunate. Um,
I'm trying to follow you, Cosmo, and if you're the Cosmo that I know in real life, uh, I don't know if you're high or something, but there's a lot of background that I've talked about in this channel, to explain where I'm coming from. And I actually I've even defended progressivism on some of our streams. The original progressives were still part of the liberal tradition, right? They were kind of part of this John Stuart Mill ideology of, well, you can use government to correct some things without throwing the baby. Like I said, he didn't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? He just
Yeah.
was saying like, government can do a lot more, but still within the liberal ethos. I would actually say that what happened in like places like Denmark now, they actually kicked out the democratic socialists. They kicked them out. Like they're not really part of it, but they still have this huge infrastructure, and that's why the president of Denmark at one point said, "Bernie, quit calling us socialist. We're not. We're a market economy with a generous welfare state." Which is a very different way of looking at things than what the Bernie Sanders types would. And what's up, gaming?
How much? What's going on?
Man, what a game.
I didn't hear what you said.
I said, what's up?
I heard you. I didn't hear Floyd.
And somebody saying, like, I don't get it. So point more fingers at Dumb Dumb Revolution. That logic is trash and irrelevant. No, it's completely.
No,
I think it's actually funny. So there's a lot of people that are leftists that don't understand how much of this critical theory stuff is bleeding out of academia. That's completely irrational, completely illogical, completely illiberal, and is becoming part of pop culture, becoming part of policy. It's becoming a part of a lot of things, and like intuitively, people on the right kind of see it, and not even people on the right, people that may have had liberal sympathies, right? A lot of people that say they voted for Obama twice, and they're looking at this and they think it's nonsense, but they don't know where it's coming from. And I think the worst thing you can do is pretend like these things aren't important.
Don't get me wrong. I voted for Obama once, just once.
I did too. Unfortunately.
Well, the reason why I felt like it had to be done because someone of color needed to come in at some point to become the president to kind of weaken the divide between the the two main races.
I felt like maybe by voting for Obama that we could get out of this endless, pointless war that we were in.
Yeah, that's why a lot of people voted for Obama, and it was actually pretty sad.
Pull out the troops never happened.
It was pretty sad that he got a Nobel Peace Prize and then continued on, basically with the Bush foreign policy, which is, I think it really goes back to Reagan, which is this whole idea that we need to have liberal interventionism everywhere. One thing that about Trump that I think is indisputable is that he didn't start any new wars, which the bar is so low that if you're anti-war, you have to call that a success. You have to.
I remember back in 2016 where everybody on the left was just absolutely screaming that if Trump gets elected, we're gonna be at war with Korea and Iran, and like that never happened.
And actually, thanks to what Trump had done, the war between North and South Korea is finally over. That they're actually going through.
Has there been an official ceasefire, or is the armistice still in effect?
Well, it's more of like I don't know the details behind that, Floyd. But I can say that the fact that they're talking to each other is important.
Yeah, dude, that's huge. That is huge.
Yeah, and the DMZ still got people armed on both sides, so they're still willing to shoot at each other if they see the need. But they're a lot better off than they were before.
Well, I do want to say to my friend Cosmo, because I confirmed that it is actually my real life friend Cosmo that I haven't seen in fucking 4 years now. Yeah, we disagree on stuff, and I didn't understand what he was saying. Is first off, you kind of have to go back and watch some of the other things that I've talked about to understand what I'm talking about with critical theories. But this stream in particular, the first thing was really just channel updates, but I have nothing else to do but bring people in and have a conversation. So yes, now it is political. But I would definitely say that the philosophical underpinnings of ideas that are blatantly from critical theory and ideas that are based on liberal tradition, uh, there's a juxtaposition there, and people need to understand it.
Well, um,
Well, yeah. Me and
I
Cosmo.
don't.
Here's the awesome thing about Cosmo, which I didn't understand what he was saying, because I think he probably approached this from a position that isn't really what I take. But yeah, we used to have conversations all the time where we disagreed on a lot of stuff, but then we would agree on certain things. So, Cosmo's a liberal, true liberal.
I enjoy talking with liberals when they will listen to what I have to say and not just screaming over me.
Well, no, like I say, true liberal essay. He's actually like he's a left liberal. Not. I don't think he's a critical theorist. I'm just
More
gonna
of a
say that.
technocrat, he says.
Yeah, no, that would actually probably be accurate, right? Um, yeah, like I'll just posit this to him. What do you think about Andrew Yang? Yes or no? I'm guessing I'm gonna get a yes, but could be wrong.
When it came to Yang, like him and Tulsi Gabbard were the only two Democrats I would have voted for.
Yeah,
I
Tulsi.
definitely would have voted. Yeah, English, Floyd, speak it, please. I would have voted for Gabbard for sure.
And because I think if done with Yang, I think if done right, that income thing could actually work. But the thing is, the only way I could agree with that basic income idea is if we cut a lot of these welfare programs and then use the money that's being thrown into those to pay for that. Like for instance, cut away I forgot what Medicaid or Medicare, the one that they give to uh, impoverished people.
Well, you know where our friend Tom stands on that one. You know, cut out social programs for the elderly.
No, not. I think that honestly feel that the three groups of people this country should take care of is our
Nacho,
veteran,
yes. Get rid of welfare for Queens. I agree there.
uh, the three groups that we should be supporting to our fullest would be our mentally handicapped, our mentally and physically handicapped, our elderly, and our veterans. Other than that, the rest of these groups of people should not be receiving hardly any government aid. Well,
All right.
what about this? What about the single mothers? Well, I hate to be mean.
Tough
I
shit,
hate
man. You should have kept your legs closed if you
we've
can't
got
fucking support yourself.
you've got the morning after pill. You've got a whole bunch of birth control programs out there where you could get birth control for close to nothing. And and last time I checked, a female can get condoms for free.
And hold on. Here's one you're forgetting. If you're absolutely hell bent on fucking being a baby factory, there are plenty of people looking to adopt.
Yes. And also there's a program out there which is still in effect, it's been out for years, where if you can't take care of your child, you drop your child off at a hospital,
A
police or fire
police
department.
station, a
Uh,
firehouse.
Yeah, and they'll take the child, no questions asked. So there shouldn't be a
Um,
bunch of these welfare programs for single mothers when 9 times out of 10 I've seen them abuse it. So all these
Well,
places where we're throwing money at, we it should easily cover the basic income idea
well,
this
easily.
hold on. This goes back.
I'm
This goes back to a reality of what you're talking about when it comes to any kind of welfare program, which is the whole idea of a moral hazard. And the moral hazard is you put people in this position where they can either take the government money or they can try to better themselves. But the hazard comes in is that the first step is usually to be self-sufficient. And I'm not saying this about every person on welfare. I just want to make people very clear about that. But you can end up creating a cycle of government dependence on this.
And that's kind of the reason why I'm waiting till now that I'm 30 to try and get disability, because I could have gotten it sooner, and I know it would have been easier if I would have got it sooner, but I wanted to try and earn my own money. Like go out there and put my nose to the grindstone and get things done.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you right
I
now that
respect that. I totally respect that.
if I was forced in a position where I had to try to do hard labor right now, I'm so out of shape that I could not get a job to do that.
If
Dude,
So
I would,
I'm
if I
very
had to be
fortunate to
on
be
my
technically
feet,
adept.
if I had to be on my feet for 8 to 10 hours, there's no way I could do it.
Yeah,
There's just no way.
I mean, I could probably do it. I would just have to call in the next day.
And to just glance me over, you're gonna see a 5'9", 150 pound dude, and you're gonna be like, well, there's not a damn thing wrong with you. Why can't you do this? Well, my hip was broken when I was 27. At this point in my life, I need a full hip replacement because I am suffering from well, a form of vascular necrosis.
Yeah, and a lot of these conversations we're sitting here talking about things that are actually political about economics. That's actually not what's driving the political discourse right now. Um, as much as I am not like a huge fan of Andrew Breitbart, he has one thing that he said that is absolutely true that I can't dispute, and I think this critical theory stuff that I've been talking about, ex- like I think it's almost exploiting what his observation was, which is politics is downstream from culture, right? So if you have a culture of um where you look at oppressors versus the oppressed, you're going to get completely different results than a culture that's looking at individuals and individual opportunity, right?
There
And
is
and,
no
and
end of individual opportunity in our current society. The way things operate, anybody can do anything.
well, no, I actually think politically, there's a lot of barriers and laws that are preventing people from doing that.
How
That's
so?
more the libertarian side. Licensing laws, what zoning laws, certain regulations that favor big companies versus independent people that want to enter
oh,
the
you're
market.
talking about the established over the upstarts.
Me and Samson were just talking about this earlier. This happened back what it was like, dude. When was the Killdozer? Wasn't that like the late 90s?
Yeah, well, the Killdozer was definitely some BS that he attempted to resolve.
Somebody with more coin and more clout within the system just railroading the little man. And dude got fed up and he built a fucking tank in his muffler shop and did tens of millions of dollars worth of damage before he got stuck and had to shoot himself.
Well,
that was a pretty ridiculous scenario.
Yeah, well,
it happened.
I know, like I know what you're talking about. I've seen the videos. Because the guy, like, he even set up like crazy cameras that were encased in bulletproof glass, so that he could drive
like fucking air jets and shit to clear debris off of the cameras.
Yeah,
as he was just like driving through shit.
Like, unfortunately, that dude was a fucking genius that just got left behind. Think of what he could have produced for society if they would just put his uses to good use rather than piss him off, because it was something like the government wanted to the government railroaded him into having to forfeit his like mechanic shop.
Dude,
it was something like that,
something
weird like that. And it just pissed him off, and he decided
cut him
to
off.
tank.
They cut him off. They cut off his muffler shop from like city water and sewer, and then they were gonna charge him fines because he wasn't hooked up to city lines.
Yeah, you know what? Nowadays, all you would have to do is do it in the name of Black Lives Matters, and apparently you can get away with it. I made a joke earlier on the Blunt stream. It was just like, if you're committing any criminal activity, just scream Black Lives Matter while you're doing it. And apparently the cops have to stand down.
The fist and shit.
Like, you're raping some white bitch, just chant Black Lives Matter the entire time, and when the cops show up, just be like, what, you think I raped him just because I'm black? Black Lives Matter! And then, like, they'll call the mayor and just be like, did a BLM protester? Just stand down.
Yeah, we don't want to touch that.
Good Lord.
You know,
am I wrong for fucking wanting Giant Rock 2021?
Wait, who? What?
Like, dude, seriously, I am seriously fucking rooting for like giant fucking space rock to come slam into this miserable fucking existence that we have right now and research the whole goddamn planet.
You're just like,
just be done with it.
That's the ultra accelerationist move. You're just like, look, we're gonna do it to ourselves eventually. Let's just get it over with. Just send the space rock down. Whoever survives, and we'll start society all over again.
Oh no survivors, no survivors,
no survivors. We're not worthy.
No survivors.
Your faith in humanity has gone down to zero.
The people in the space station come down, and then they're like, "What happened? Doesn't look anything like we remember."
No, dude. I want the people that are on the space station right now to look down as this is happening, and they're just looking at a ball of molten rock, and they're like, well, there's absolutely nothing left to go back to.
I mean, sometimes I get that cynical, but I've been trying to be a little bit less cynical lately. I think there's some. So, and this is one of the things that I got to go back to why I'm not streaming with Tom Penoid much anymore. Part of it is schedules, but when I'm doing these streams on Critical Theory, he doesn't really care about that, right? Because he's looking at more very political, more things that I'm actually interested in, right? Like economics. I agree with most of what Tom P says about economics. I agree.
You already know what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with a lot of what he says about when it comes to like laws, like with the drug war, and when it comes to family courts and things like that. Unfortunately,
I'm on board with that too.
Well, unfortunately, that's not where the front of conversation is for most people. The front of conversation right now is completely being manufactured by these critical theorists. Like, before we can have that conversation again and go back to, because there's questions like, is the Federal Reserve doing good things or bad things, right? That's a highbrow conversation that nobody's having right now, because everything is being, like, all those very important conversations that there probably is an answer to, that we could come to an agreement and make things better on. We can't talk about that because we're sitting here talking about whether or not you can not be a racist, or if the options are you're either a racist or an anti-racist. And that's what's being thrown at everybody at this point. I mean, you can just look at it like your Twitter conversations with people that are liberals, right? Like, or not liberals, people that are leftists, right? That are promoting this idea. And like, you just say like, what do you mean by systemic racism? And just asking that question, which is like, well, if you don't know, you're a fucking racist.
Yeah, no, dude, yeah. Damned if you do and damned if you don't, right?
Well, yeah, and I'm saying, like, they've moved the political discourse to this thing that's super superficial, where we're having to play on their terms right now. And I wish we weren't,
that's what
but we are.
when you start shifting the goalposts, man.
Well, like, yeah, and so we're dealing with it on their terms, which is exactly why I've been doing these streams. Like, if you haven't watched them all, Floyd, go back and watch some of them. At least skip through them. Go back and watch what we talked about today on Irate's channel, and you're gonna be like, God damn! Like, I can't believe this stuff all actually has roots in academia that is forcing us to talk about things that they sound ridiculous to people like us, because most of us are Gen Xers, right? Close to Gen X, like the early millennials on the border.
Dude, Gen X and millennials are fucking so ill-defined.
Well, no, like, if you were like kids of the 90s, they actually believe in colorblind racism, because that's what we were taught.
Yeah, I was born in 19.
Hold on, colorblind racist. What the fuck is that?
Hold on. I sorry. Colorblind racism is the critical social justice term. We actually believe that being colorblind is not a racist thing. In critical social justice, they put everybody in these identity groups, and the idea that you would ignore these identity groups based on race and call yourself colorblind is in and of itself racist. So I said that backwards. But we grew up kind of on this idea of like, be colorblind, at least at an individual level, right? Treat everybody as an individual. Yeah. The color of your skin doesn't matter.
I was born all the way back in 1984.
Me too.
Bernie Sanders, how you doing?
Oh God, I really did slip into my Bernie voice, didn't I?
More like stepped in it hard.
I don't always comb my hair, but when I do, I use a fucking balloon.
Jesus Christ.
Mad at the 1%, but he is the 1%. Makes total sense.
The double standards too. Yeah.
If you remember pagers and phone books, you are not a millennial. Radical Rick, I agree with you. I remember pagers because only certain kids had them.
I remember phone booths.
Yep.
I remember phone booths on almost every corner.
Well, I remember like being at the skating rink. Whenever I had to call my parents to get my ride home, I had to fucking use a payphone.
Yep, you better save that goddamn fucking 50 cents that you really wanted to play a fucking game with, but you need a ride home, so you gotta use the damn payphone.
I think
nowadays you just pull a box out of your pockets and call.
Here's something that I think would be a great disambiguation between millennials and Gen X that's better than just the random dates they throw at you. I think if you remember what was happening on 9/11, like if you remember that day and you were old enough
I
to know what
distinctly
happened.
remember that day.
Yeah,
I
like
woke
if
up
you
that day. It was a
if
beautiful September
exactly if
morning,
you can
bright
talk
blue skies,
if you can talk about that the
and
same
I
way
went out
that
to
your
fucking
parents
warm
talked
up the
about the
truck
moon landing.
and go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm saying if you can talk about that the same way your parents might have talked about something like the moon landing, then you're not a millennial. It's
I
it's the
Then I'm
people that
definitely
were
not a millennial.
it was the people that were too young when that happened in 2002, right? They were 6, 7, 8, 9. That's the generation of millennials that are the problem.
I was 17 years old in
And
2001,
I was
and I first heard about this on the radio, and I was like, dude, this has to be a joke. And I went back in the trailer, and I'm like, yo, Dad, fucking turn on the news. Let's see what's going on. And it's bright and early in the morning, and sure as shit, man, the fucking World Trade Center is burning, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, dude. One of my best friends from high school. We just got done because we were part of it was this program to let you take college classes for math and calculus. So we went on to the UMKC University of Missouri Kansas City campus at 6 in the morning till 8 in the morning every day to take these classes before we had to go back to our actual high school. And when we first showed up, none of it started. But then we got back in and we just had our 96.5 the buzz station playing, and they were talking nothing about planes crashing into the fucking World Trade Center. And we're just sitting here like, what the fuck is going on? Like, holy shit, is World War III starting as we're driving? And then we get back to school while I'm driving both of us back to our actual high school. And the rest of the day is just us all sitting in our classrooms, and they just said, just stay there. We're not going to change classes, and playing videos of what was going on and just watching it as it happened real time. And goddamn, dude, that was a crazy fucking day. Even
yeah,
afterwards, like I had to think to myself, and I was just like, me and my friend Aaron, but funny enough, his name is now Rebecca, which I don't quite understand, but we were just kind of sitting there. We were kind of sitting there just like, God, I mean, like, how big of a deal is this really besides the giant destruction of property? And we're just like, we already had this kind of offhanded, anti-establishment look at things. I'm just like, well, what's going on in the rest of the world? And you have to think about like post-Bush administration, or like during the Bush administration, into like before even the Clinton administration, just being like, well, that's kind of like the normal, right? Like 3,000 people dying of random bullshit in a day. Like that just happens in a lot of countries in the Middle East all the time. So it just kind of happened to America right now. And we really downplayed it, like in this way where we're just like, like,
No, that was a turning point. America had
well,
never seen anything like that.
well, yeah. In my case, I was born in 1990, so only thing I could truly remember about it is the fact that I didn't have to go to school
yeah,
because
because you were
my
12.
my
Dude,
mother my
I
my mother
remember I live like
my,
30 miles outside of an international airport.
because
And I remember going to bed that night, and there was not the sound of airplanes flying over my house. And
Yeah, it
that
was
was so
eerily
strange to
silent.
me.
Yeah. I have something to bring up. So, after this all perspired, I remember when Bush was setting up for militant action. There was helicopters with soldiers armed flying over my house constantly for like
yeah.
a whole week. And they were buzzing our roof. We took all of our stuff off the wall because it kept falling off the wall because of how much they were buzzing our roof. Um, and I gotta say, um, there's nothing like having a jet scramble over you and knocking you on your ass because of the explosion that it makes. I mean, that shit for a kid as young as I was at the time, was terrifying.
I found it fun. I found it fun. That shit was entertaining to me.
And the look on all the adults' faces, you know, like we live next to one of the world's largest Air Force bases. So they were wondering if they were going to have to get us to fallout shelters and stuff because of how much was going on at the time and
That-
all the unknowns.
That's how I felt when I was driving home listening to the radio. It took me a while to realize that what happened was we had 3 hijacked airliners, which is a little bit different. Like I was thinking like warplanes and shit were flying around when I first heard what was going on.
There was a lot of air traffic disturbance that day. I remember being out on the playground because I actually did go to school that day. And I remember seeing jets behaving erratically in the air because they were being ordered to land. And they had some of them even had to land outside of airports because they were going to get shot down if they didn't land. So there was so much going on. It was something strange to see a plane flying through the sky like that.
You know what? I didn't really think about it until we just had this conversation. But I'm actually very certain that 9/11 is why I became a much more libertarian person. There's other factors too, right? Like I always loved Penn and Teller's bullshit because we had Showtime, and I was just like, yes, I love this.
Yeah.
But by the time I was old enough to vote, like, well, when I cared to vote, which would have been 08 for Obama won, and I decided I'm going to go with Ron Paul. Is Ron Paul said something that was that really reached out to me because we were talking about things like the Patriot Act and TSA. He said after 9/11 happened, not only did he think it was a tragedy, but he just said, "Oh no, here comes big government," and we still deal with that today, right? Like the TSA is still driving up cost of air flight. It's still making it an extra pain in the ass for you to get on a plane.
I remember
the Patriot Act. The Patriot Act is still going.
Yeah.
It's
the bitch I have that's going on right now is the fucking coup. And
Yeah,
I
that's
know
mad.
this is gonna get us fucking banned, but I honestly do not believe in the coup.
The fuck you saying?
oh no, he's talking about COVID-19.
Yeah, no
I
shit.
don't-
What do you mean? What do you mean you
I-
don't believe in it?
I don't think it's a real thing. I
My
think
best
it's
friend,
exaggerated.
my best friend, fucking had it. You dipshit.
It's a real thing.
Lots of people get the flu too, and way more people die of that.
No, it's not more people. Hold on. Like this is something that I've actually like followed pretty extensively too. So
Same
one COVID-19, it's a real thing. It's kind of
Yeah.
unique in the fact that like young healthy people basically are gonna get it and never know, right? Unlike the flu, which is like a little kid gets the flu, a little kid will spread it and get really fucking sick. Like, in fact, as I've gotten older, when I've been diagnosed with the flu, it's been way less harsh than it ever was when I was a kid. So it's kind of
when I was 19, I don't know what the fuck I caught, but I was fairly certain I was gonna die. I couldn't breathe. I woke up one morning, my eyes were just absolutely fucking glued shut with like dried mucus and shit, dude. I was fucking sick.
yeah. Hold on, Nostradamus the Great in chat just made the exact point I was gonna make. The COVID is real, but it's being blown out of proportion.
Exactly.
As far as like even
Exactly.
based on how the CDC kind of defines pandemics, like a stage 1 is going to be the seasonal flu, and that's what they say. And they've got 5 stages. So COVID is one step up from that. So like it is real, it is happening, a lot of the questions around it are, I mean, what, like, the practical matter around it is, what are the measures we're taking, and are they worth it? Because this whole
No.
idea that one life is too many, first off, is bullshit. Like, government never operates that way. We wouldn't be
No.
able to drive cars if we thought about it that way.
Yeah, but she's talking in a humane way, not in a political way. When you say one life is too many to be fucking killed over anything.
Yeah, hold on, it's a humane way, but it doesn't, that humane idea of one life is too many, so we just need to fucking lock all our doors, shut down all our businesses forever. That doesn't compute with the way we've structured society
if you want
forever.
to go out in public, you have to fucking put on a face mask
Well-
because of the coof.
Well, it doesn't. I actually don't care what you think about like what is appropriate for the response or whatever. But everybody needs to come to this agreement that there is most certainly this happy medium that we take between risk to make society operate and then complete safety. And I think we're way too far, at least with what most states are doing for policy, trying to get into complete safety. Because it's gonna
Those
be,
that
that's
would
impossible.
Sacrifice freedom for safety deserve neither.
Well, yeah, I've said a million times. I was like, Patrick Henry said, "Give me liberty or give me death." Except
Damn right.
well, no. Then he continued that speech and saying, except if there's a natural, like some sort of health pandemic going on, then in that case, take all my liberties. I don't really care. Which is
This
completely untrue.
is not a fucking massive issue. If you look back to the numbers, under Obama, when we were dealing with H1N1,
yeah, like
which was way more deadly than the coof.
Yeah, it didn't. It was way more deadly. It just
like
did.
this. Nobody freaked out
Yeah,
like this.
it was more deadly, but it didn't spread as easily.
And see, that's the difference between the coronavirus and the
So you
H1N1.
would rather
me,
have
no,
a
Floyd, stop.
Floyd.
Let Full Metal Joker finish.
Whereas
ahead, Joker.
H1N1, it didn't spread as much, but it was more deadly.
Mm-hmm.
With this, you can easily catch the coronavirus, but unless you have problems with your immune system or you're really old, you're not going to die from it. So I don't believe that all these things where you have to walk around with a mask in order to buy things and whatnot, I don't think we should do it. Because actually wearing a mask is supposed to be used to keep you from spreading germs. It's not going to protect you from the virus.
Yeah,
Not at all.
That's absolutely
No.
true.
The mask should be used like, hey, you're sick and you got something, so you should wear a mask so you don't give it to other people.
I'm not sick.
Then you shouldn't have to wear a mask.
To fucking wear the coof mask to go buy a case of beer.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this is it's politically motivated. Even all the measures everything was taken is politically motivated. Now, I certainly think there's an argument to be made that some people are taking this to the extreme because they want to say fuck Trump. But the other point is like, let's think about Fauci, and a lot of people are talking shit on him. If your job is to advise the public on what to do during a pandemic, right? You're not going to do this cost benefit analysis. What you're going to do is you're going to promote the policies that are most likely to not get you in trouble for saying that, like, hey, you can go out in public and be just fine, right? Like, you're not going to say it's not dangerous because your entire job is dependent on providing advice and limiting the number of cases and the number of deaths to as small as possible. I think people like they really have to think about how bureaucracies work. Like, he only keeps his job if he recommends things that are going to be the most tight restrictions possible. If he does some cost benefit saying like, yeah, well, you know what, like we could lax these policies, we could let people out, and sure, a few more people are going to die, but in the long run it's going to be beneficial. That's not something Fauci could ever say.
Exel, I'm gonna send you something real quick. You can throw it up on screen if you want. But here you go. This is the ultimate of hypocrisy as far as the COOF is concerned, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I can say this at least. At least they're not like welding our doors shut or nailing them shut, like some other countries were experiencing.
You mean like having kids starve to death?
Fauci actually said, hold on, you just showed me a picture. This picture is a guy wearing a mask, Fauci with his mask on his chin, and somebody with their mask taken off. Three people
and Fauci fucking came out and threw out first pitch wearing his mask and shit. And I'm gonna inject a little bit of humor here. Let's be fair. Fauci's opening pitch was a little outside. It's more like he was throwing to first base.
Most of them are. I still say Fauci has an impossible job. I think he, like, some of the answers he's given is they've been fine. He's just trying to teeter the line between giving a political answer that is acceptable and also trying to stay scientific. And
I mean, he keeps fucking lying about different shit, and he keeps flip-flopping and all this other shit. How the fuck can you trust that asshole?
Well, that's
can't even make up his mind in one thing or another.
Yeah. Once again, he's given an impossible job, right? Like, if he just came out and said something that is universally true, it's like, look, this is a virus. We can do some things to mitigate it. We can ruin the economy by shutting down a bunch of businesses and mitigate it to an extent. And then maybe we're gonna have to stop thinking about it that way. Just like he said, like, you know, we don't need masks right now. When he said that, what he was really trying to say is, don't buy all the masks because we want to give them to our healthcare professionals. That's all he really was trying to say.
Well, then he should have just came out and said that.
But like I said, he's riding the fence between what's scientifically correct and what is politically correct. It's just a bad job, I think, for anybody to have. And see that? Even right there. I'm a right-wing extremist, and I'm trying to be credulous to Fauci.
Hey, man.
Like I'm looking at the conditions of what is actually going on and what his job actually is. And I just think it's impossible. I think he has an impossible job. Especially during this time.
I salute you for looking at that aspect. I really do. I don't envy him his position. I wouldn't want that fucking job.
Yeah, it would suck.
Yeah, it really would.
Like, I don't think he doesn't know his shit. I just think that he's forced in a position to be a scientist and a politician at the same time. And I just don't think that's a good position. Yeah, I just don't. It's not a good position to be in.
You cannot be a politician and a scientist at the same time. Those are incompatible.
By the way, my boy Cosmo said, I'm proud and agree. Which part do you agree with? Is it the part about Fauci being in an impossible position?
Well, I mean, Fauci did say AIDS was airborne, didn't
he? Well, and like so much of this stuff was like rapid response to, and we didn't have a whole lot of information about it. The CDC just went back recently and said, never mind, like kids can go back to school, right? They made that decision officially, and they're recommending that come next school session that they just open the schools up, right? And there's going to be different protocols for teachers, like the older people, but the actual kids, like, they can go back to school. And some people are trying to say, like, oh my God, how are they doing this? Like, I've actually seen people reaction, or like making the reaction. We're like, wow, dude, the CDC's been corrupted by Trump or something like that. And I was like, no, I'm pretty sure they made that decision on their own based on all the science, and especially what has gone on in places like Sweden and Japan, where they realize that, like, yeah, young school children, it's fine. Like, they don't
Yeah,
they don't really
pretty
get
much
it. They don't
everything
respond to
I've
it.
seen is that adults don't spread this thing to kids.
Well, no, even if they do,
Yeah, they can.
kids just aren't affected by it almost universally.
Immune compromised individuals can just stay at home and continue the online stuff.
Yeah, it's
Because I
actually
see,
from what I understand. I just want to see if anybody else has heard this information, because I haven't like looked into it closely. But from what I get is that what really kills you from COVID-19 is it's not the virus itself and what it does to you. It's your immune
No,
system's
it's
response.
secondary complications.
Well, no, it's your immune system's response, right? So the older you are, the more likely you are for your immune system to take this, direct it, and heavily attack it. And if you're like super old, it's going to do that. It's going to get into your, like, it's going to attack your lungs. It's going to turn into pneumonia, and it's going to kill you. But kids,
that's
because
the impression I was under.
Yeah,
is
like-
that if you get this thing and it gets really aggressive, that you're going to develop pneumonia, and that's what kills you.
yeah, and like, so kids though, like, their immune system, the fact that it's actually not developed, it hasn't been exposed to as many things, is a reason why their immune system doesn't act up the same way it will with older people. And that's not even just children. It goes into people in their teens, their 20s, their 30s. You don't even start getting red flags until you get to like 40s and 50s, with very, very rare exceptions.
Well, I'm starting to push 40, so even at that, I'm not worried about the coup.
I don't think there's
it's
any reason to be
something
worried
that I
about
need to
it.
be worried about.
the thing I could say is I could see that some precautions being taken is still a good idea, but like you can't live your life acting like the sky is going to be falling constantly. That's what's been getting to people, is that they're tired of hearing about COVID-19 because it's scaring the shit out of them.
It doesn't necessarily scare me. It pisses me off that for me to go out into public, that I have to put on this stupid fucking mask that deprives me of my basic fucking humanity.
Wow. You sound like a bitch just there.
I mean, that's the argument that we had over in his server with a few other people too. He's complaining about the mask when it's such an insignificant thing.
Oh no, I'm in a mask. I can't breathe.
Yeah, the whole mask thing, I think, is it's one of the things where I think you're missing the forest for the tree. Right? There's a lot more going on, and the mask is just a tree, it's a giant forest.
It's retarded. Just like all those fucking videos of stupid people who walk into private businesses and they're like, I don't want to wear a mask. You can't make me wear a mask. I'm like, you stupid fuck. You're in a private fucking building. Yes, they can't make you. You're in private property. Just
Yep.
because it's a Walmart doesn't mean it's not private. It's still a private fucking business, you stupid
They
fuck.
can call the police
Well,
and be
then
like, "This
I
guy's
certainly
scaring
hope
people," and they
Walmart
can
goes
take you
the
away.
fuck bankrupt.
Yeah, that's gonna happen. That's the
Yeah.
stupidest thing I heard.
I know it's never gonna happen, but hey, man,
God.
it's fun to dream.
I mean,
No,
actually,
it's not. Retarded.
no, I mean, actually, the worst part is like places like Walmart are going to be fine through all of this. it's your local businesses that are shutting down. I'm a gamer. Multiple stores that have been around since I was a teenager just decided to close up shop in my city.
They've been gone around here for a long
Yeah.
time. All of our video stores have been gone for 10 years or more.
Well,
Yep,
I was
they
talking about
fucking
people that
folded,
sell
dude.
comics and cards, right? Like they couldn't afford to have a storefront up whenever they have to be closed for. Because I mean, even most of their business, if you're dealing with the hobby industry, is providing space for people to come do that shit in real life, and they
Yeah.
can't do it. They can't hold it up.
And see, and
So
that's
it's not companies like Walmart that I'm worried about.
and that's what
It's
and that's what I tried to explain to my mother, where she going, "Oh, there's a spike. They're gonna close. They're gonna shut everything down again." And I looked at her. That ain't gonna happen because none of us can afford things to shut down again. And
We're
she goes,
already
"Well,
bleeding money as it is.
And
I mean,
she goes, "What do you mean?" And I tell her straight up that all these mom and pop stores, they'll close for good. Places like Walmart, Dollar General, Dollar Tree, and so on, those big store chains, they'll be fine. Places like Chili's and all those other those big restaurants, they'll be fine. They have money saved away for times like this. So if something pops off like this, they can just sit on their pile of money and make do just fine.
yeah, but your
Yeah,
But
local
it's
your
No,
local
so they're
independent
like
stores are
dragons sitting on their piles of loot.
Pretty
Well-
much. More like Wario on his gold hoard.
now. I mean, a better explanation of what he said about restaurants like Chili's, right? Because they're big chain restaurants. Is even any individual restaurant for Chili's operates off of a probably very thin profit margin, but it's a
Mhm.
giant chain. So when you aggregate that, like they have the money in the bank or they have the credit to keep going on, even while their profits are being hurt by COVID-19. What really gets hurt is those individual mom and pop restaurants
yeah,
that also operate on razor thin profit margins and can't
like
afford to just sit there and have to pay rent to keep their building open, and pretend that they're going to be able to open back up in any capacity and make any kind of money that's even close to justify their existence. So a lot of them are just calling it quits.
Well, roadside diners and truck stops are doing fine because you still got them moving on their routes. Can't stop shipment because of disease. I mean, they're essential. Life cannot
Um,
function without them.
well,
Yeah.
I heard something really interesting today that
I need water.
the
I'll be back.
supply of aluminum cans apparently is now in peril.
The change shortage, and like I fucking got more change than I know what to do with. I don't understand that one at all.
No, I don't understand the federal change shortage either. It's like, what the fuck? Like one whole row,
So-
one whole bank of fucking U scans at my local Walmart is
So-
fucking card only, dude. You can't pay cash.
Yeah, so
you have to go to the right hand bank of fucking U scans.
I'm gonna get slightly
And-
conspiratorial here, Floyd. I think I have this reason to believe that part of the reason that they're saying there's this federal change shortage, so they want you to pay with card. I think part of it is it's not that there's really the shortage on change. It's that disease actually can be distributed very well through cash transactions because of the number of people touching it, handling it, and whatever.
Too
And
bad
I think
the
they're
money
just-
isn't metal. Because
Well,
like if the like paper money can't really be
Well,
disinfected
let's
easily,
go
like
back to silver because silver actually sterilizes shit.
No,
Well-
hold on. It goes back to the paper money, right? Because it's not that people are using coins to pay for stuff. It's that you have to give coins back to people. But first you have to hand them the paper money, and the paper money's where the problem is.
Do you know?
All right. So we've had dollar coins forever. Why not change everything over to coins?
Well, that'd be inefficient. That would take way too much time and money. But what I was going to bring up is like casinos had these big washing rooms where they wash the money that they get in all these machines. Like there, it's like washing machines for like quarters and stuff like that. And they do that because when you put the coins in the slots at the casinos, you know, you got the lint in your pocket and all that, and that's not good for the machines. So they'll wash what they put into the change outs for the casinos. That's a real thing. The
Oh no, he's got the coof. Put on your mask.
Shut up, Floyd.
Yeah, actually, guys. Anyway, I'm actually surprised we made it to 90 minutes because I planned on this to be a very short stream. I'm probably actually going to chop it up and re-upload it to my channel because the first part was just the PSA, which is subscribe to Irate stream if you want to keep hearing more stuff on critical theory and postmodernism, because I'm moving all of that over there. I also was just kind of bored and wanted to have a conversation. However, I do kind of want to get off of here. So, does anybody have any last words?
Subscribe to Gaming and Yelling. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
Subscribe to
gaming.
me.
Yeah, gaming. Just go ahead and share it out to the link. I'm surprised we had up to like 14 people watching at one point on my channel at 1 in the morning. I expected nobody to watch, and I also didn't expect anybody to join the live show call-ins. And then when I was about to end the stream, I looked and I just saw Full Metal Joker, Floyd, and Samson just in there, and I was like, "All right, well, come down, let's have a talk."
It's always a good time to talk to people.
It is. And god damn it, gaming, I was gonna shout you out.
Shut
I
up.
was gonna say fucking subscribe to Gaming and Yelling. Go over to Irate Prostate. Give him stroke that bell icon. And Excel, man, don't shut this thing down.
No,
This was fun.
He's tired. Shut up.
No, I'm going to. It's late. We gotta end it. Like,
No, I didn't mean the stream. I meant the whole damn channel.
oh yeah, it'll always be available as this backup place to just have random conversations like this. So, like, I'm not gonna delete my channel. I just, I'm not gonna promote something that I think I will go on without me. Right. That's once again, that's the whole point by like why the critical theory talk is going to Irate's channel is one, he's interested, and two, he's interested enough to keep it going with or without me. So we're moving it over there, and I think it's a good place for it to be. Me and Atima.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm happy to be a part of it because stuff like this is interesting, and I love having conversations with people from varying points of view. Because that's the best way you learn something is not by hanging around the same group of people stroking each other's ego, but
Stroke
talking.
my ego, you little faggot.
talking.
Great minds do not exist in isolation.
Yes, they bounce ideas off each other and come to a common ground.
I got something for you to bounce on.
Yeah. Definitely great minds do not think alike.
Oh my god, Excel just fucking ended now. God
Yeah, yeah. I was just like, God damn, dude, you guys could drag this on forever. I'm gonna go ahead and end stream. Once again, thanks everybody. Thanks Gaming for coming on. Thanks Floyd for coming on. Thanks Full Metal Joker for coming on. Thanks Samson Fairfox. This is my first time ever talking to you.
Yeah,
you're interesting. Glad to talk to you. And Gaming and Yelling, of course, we talk all the time. So whatever,
Yes,
you're
sir.
a faggot. As far as the chat goes, thank you everybody for coming in. I'm actually very surprised we had almost 10 people watching, up to like 15 maybe at one point, at 1 in the morning to 3 in the morning. Anyway, I'm gonna hit